All right, everybody, welcome back to Sean's Garage. Today we've got upgrades. Yeah, upgrades for the Malibu. All right, everybody, here we go. Got some upgrades for the Malibu. This is a bit of a story behind this, why I'm actually doing these upgrades, which I'll share with you here in a minute. Before I started this channel, I had put tubular upper and lower control arms on the front with coilovers. And then I also put 3-inch drop spindles on it. And when I first put them on, I cranked the set super low, and I cranked all the both the coilovers up about as high as I can or could at the time, and I got it to sit just about right where I wanted it. Well, after driving it for a while and it's sitting for a while, everything settles, and well, now it's too low. And I really can't crank them up any higher, because, it just, makes the ride super stiff, and there's no travel or anything. And when I hit a good dip in the road, not even a real bump, but a good dip, even just a dip in the road, the front tires are rubbing on the inner fenders, or inner wheel wells, whatever you want to call them. So I guess that just pushes me to do a upgrade. So I'll show you right now. Sits. So it sits now. I mean, it looks good, but you can tell the front end is way lower than the back. I'm guessing just by eyeball, we're looking at a good 2.5 inch difference. And I mean, I like it. I like the way it looks, but the drivability, going over speed bumps and whatever. Let's see if I can find a tape measure. There's a tape measure. Just isn't practical. And the ride quality sucks, having the coilovers so hot. So let's look here. I'm at to the top of the fender, right about there. Let's see where I'm at. About 23 and a quarter ish or so on the front, and at the back, about 26 and an eighth, just shy of a quarter. So yeah, front end sits really low. I'd like the front actually to be at least 1.5 inches higher. I like the rake look. I mean, it'd actually be better for drag racing probably if it was level, but I don't know, me, I'm a hot rod type of guy. I like hot rods, and for my opinion, for a hot rod you need a little bit of rake. So what am I going to do about it? Well, what I think also happened was when I did the control arms, I think the control arms might have a little bit of drop built into them as well. So I'm going back to stock spindle height, and so I'm going to get rid of the 3-inch drops and go back to stock, but I'm not putting my old ones back on. Because another thing with the 78 that I figured out when I initially did this, and what was another reason why I went with the 3-inch drop spindles, is 78 is like a one-off year. I think it maybe 78, 79 is like a one-off year for spindle diameter, you know, which equates to your bearings and your rotors. So you can't find rotors. I found like one rotor, but you can't find both. You know, at least then, I don't know, maybe they have them now. I don't know. This was back just before COVID. I think in 2020 is when I did this. So that's why I went to, I think, a 80. I think that's what the drop spindles were an 80 year, 80, 81 year. So it would give me more options for rotors. But now that I'm going back to stock height, I'm not going with stock spindles. So I did a little bit of research and I found this nifty little kit. Yeah, under $1,000. Drilled and slotted rotors, stock height spindles, everything's already assembled, new bearings, dust cap, you know, whole thing brand new. Nothing, you know, nothing remanufactured or anything. You got the steel braid, comes with the steel braided flex lines, new pads, Willwood. What are they? I think they're like D154s or something like that. Oh, maybe we'll see it on the box here somewhere. 120. That's the part number for them. Banjo front. With. Yeah. I think. Yeah. D154s. Yeah. Dual piston. They're not. So they're not your 4 pistons. You know, big brake kit like you normally see. This is a good economical, in my opinion, a good economical brake upgrade if you're not road racing or you want the super lights or anything. You want a good streetable, you know, brake upgrade. And instead of the single piston, you get a dual piston, you know, single piston stock caliper. And it's all nicely power coated. They look super nice, you know. And the whole thing, whole kit, under $1,000. So that's what we're gonna be working on. So here we go. All right, the plan of attack for this is I'm gonna undo the rubber brake line from there. Hopefully it breaks free. Doesn't look all corroded or anything. I painted it. Looks like it may have been replaced at one point. And I'm going to undo that. Then my upper and then lower ball joint. Then my tie rod. And I'll have the jack underneath it to support it. And I'll leave the bolts on there, but I'll loosen them up as far as I can. Just with a few threads holding it on, and then I'll let it down, and hopefully the weight of the spring will separate the ball joints and make it easier. And then I'll take the whole assembly with the caliper and everything off all at once. So that's the plan. These here are the minimum tools required to complete this project / upgrade. Brake lube, doesn't have to be this brand, this is just what I use. 1/4 inch wrench for the bleeder, 9/16 wrench for the banjo bolt for the brake line, 11/16 for the other end of the brake line that goes to the bracket on the frame, along with a line wrench, the 3/8 end if you use the double-ended one, utility knife, little nose pliers, flathead screwdriver, torque spit for the caliper bolts. See if I can focus. 3/8. Deep well 7/8 for the lower ball joint. 3/4 deep well for the upper ball joint bolt. 11/16 for the tie rod bolt. And all those have castle nuts. Don't forget, if your cotter pins are rusted or corroded or looking weak, replace them with new ones. Good ratchet. I use a long reach, but if you're, because I don't like to pull that hard. So, but if you have a regular ratchet, it should work as well. Pickle fork for separating your ball joints if they don't come easily by letting down the jack and pulling the weight off. Impact wrench or your 4-way. I just happen to have an impact wrench with a, well, lug nuts may vary. Mine are 3/4 inch. Brake clean and a rag for cleaning off your rotors. You got to clean off your rotors because they're shipped with a protective oil to keep them from rusting. So you want your rotors clean before you install the pads. This is the minimum tools required. For this job, I've already done this and had it apart, so everything came apart fairly easily. If you're doing this for the first time and it's been 30 years or 40 years since the front end's been apart, you may need more tools. Like, oh, I forgot. Also, most important, I don't have the BFH out. This one worked fine for me, but you may need this one, or if it's really stubborn, this one. But I'd already had it apart, and you may need some of that. A little bit of heat. So that's it. All right, there you have it. All complete. I've got about, took me, I'd say probably about an hour and a half to do one side. So, but like I said before, I've already had this apart once, so I didn't have to play with old rusty garbage. So it came apart pretty easily and went together pretty easily. And so that's what you got. Got my, you see the tubular uppers, tubular lowers, and you can see I've got the coil over jacked way up. I'm hoping to at least reduce that at least by half, that this distance here at the bottom. I'm hoping I can bring that down about halfway at least, which would be awesome. Give me a little more suspension travel and a little bit softer ride. So there you have it. Looks pretty good. I like it. And there it is, with just the 3-inch drop spindles installed. I haven't adjusted the coil overs yet. It's a little high in the front. I think it's going to be perfect. Right now, according to the wheel wells, or yeah, going by the wheel wells, the front is about 1.5 inches lower or so. Seems off. Doesn't look like that, but now the front is at about 25 3/4 there, approximately. The back is at about center straight over now, 26 and a heavy 8 or so. So, but I mean, that there I think would be good for drag racing. if you have it sitting level. That's with Moroso trick springs on the back, and coilovers on the front with tubular A-arms and stock height spindles. I think it's a hair high in the front. I want to drop it down probably about 1.5 inches, and I think that'll be about right. That'll give me some more. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it. And let me see if I can prop you up on something. Hopefully it'll give me a little more front squish. Right now there isn't a whole lot of movement there. So maybe if I adjust my coilovers 1.5 inches, maybe that'll give me a little more play. Let's find out. Well, there it is, all done. Took me probably about half a day to complete it. A little tip: if you go coilovers, man, they're nice for adjustment, but man, are they a pain. Or nice for ride height, to adjust ride height. Man, when it comes time to adjust them, they are a pain in the nutsack. I tell you what, it took me as long to adjust the ride height, I think, or damn near as long as it did to swap out the front assemblies. But there it is, all done. Got a slight bit of rake, and I think it's just about right. Another thing is, before, to use my my floor jack, when I'd stick it under there, it would hit the cross member under the motor, and I'd have to pick up on the fender to get it to go under there. When I adjusted the coilovers the first time, I had 2 inches of thread showing at the bottom, towards the bottom, from the base of the coilover to the lock ring. So I said, well, I want to go 1.5 inches. I'm like, wow, there's only 2 inches there, so I'll go try 1 inch. Well, when I tried 1 inch, that brought it down to as low as it was, maybe even slightly lower than when I had the 3-inch drop spindles on. So go small increments when you're adjusting your coilovers. My guesstimation is 1/2 inch probably equals 1 inch in height or drop, whichever way you're going. So I ended up going, I think, 1.5 inches, approximately 1.5 inches, 1 3/8. I think closer to 1/2 to achieve this. So I'll whip out the tape so you guys can see where the fender height is lying now compared to what it was before. I don't remember what the original measurement was, but if you go back, if you remember, here you go. Here's the measurement. I'm at 24 and about 3/4 right now. So there you go. If you guys like this and you want to see more and keep up on the Malibu project, go ahead and like and subscribe. You guys get out there and build something.